Hello and welcome to the Paddle and Fin podcast. I'm Brian,
Neb J.
and we're your hosts. And tonight, you guys, we got another epic guest coming your way. We got Richy Laughry from Missouri, the Moyak Kayak Series down south, aka Missouri Moswimb8slinger, right? Yeah,
Yep.
got it right. And we're going to talk to him about the Moyak Series, fishing down in Missouri out of a kayak and throwing some big, heavy swim baits. So, Richy, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, you know the drill. We always ask everybody how they got into kayak fishing and all that good stuff and what boat they're fishing out of. So, why don't you start us off with that?
Uh, what I started in California actually, just to get off the bank. I fished Diamond Valley Lake out there near Temecula,
Okay.
south of Riverside, and California and their drinking water reservoirs. They're kind of strict on what goes in the water, literally, and so there was a few requirements for the kayak. It had to be a sit-in. It had to be over 10 foot. It couldn't be a inflatable. So I went to Dick's Sporting Goods, found a trophy 126, and I fished out of that sit-in for quite a few years. Uh, I moved back to Missouri. I did that in 2009. I bought that kayak, and I moved back to Missouri late 2010. And we didn't have a kayak fishing scene here. I don't even remember seeing anyone else fishing at kayaks early on. Maybe 2013, I seen a guy, but uh, and I fished my first pseudo kayak tournament in September of 2003. It was Bass Crazy 365 power versus paddle, and I tied for 13th out of like 275 entries. Uh, and it was June 2014. Local guy Eric Hansen, he was just getting a kayak shop going in off Indian Point near Branson, and he held a little charity tournament on Table Rock. And I met him, Jim Harding. I can't remember if Curtis Adams was there or not. He's kind of a background figure now. He's kind of focused on family, so I haven't seen him quite as often. But so we had the charity tournament, and had fun with that. Then me, Eric, and two of his buddies that I got introduced to, we went and fished Marty Hughes' tournament on Pony Creek Lake near Council Bluffs.
Okay.
We had such a ball at that, going to that tournament, coming home from that tournament. I mean, your buddy fell asleep in the truck, and here's a semi coming at you in the oncoming lane, and skirt you all scare the hell out of them away. I mean, and then just Heath Hudson, he was one of the guys with us. His old military stories. I think I had a 2 or 3 day bellyache after laughing so
Yeah.
much. And we wanted to bring that excitement and fun back to Southern Missouri. So that was early October 2014, and
Right
so
on.
we put in plan trying to get rules together, tournament rules, and then guidelines for a club. And to December 22nd, 2014, we had our first sit down and established 7 board members and created what was the Show Me Kayak Fishing Association. And then the tournaments, we did first call Moyak Fishing Series.
Right on.
We created the Show Me Fishing Association as kind of an umbrella deal. Like we were going to try and bring in a river series and a north series and whatnot. Uh, in the long run, it was just better for us to focus on the one. We tried the north series in 2016. The interest wasn't there, the attendance wasn't there, and shoot, just doing the one turn, trying to do the two tournaments just spread us thin. So we just stayed in our little southwest half.
Sure.
Third.
Well, that's where all the good water's at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we get hit up all the time, guys up north and out east on the Illinois and Kentucky and Tennessee on that side
Sure.
of the line. And hey, when you guys coming east or north? And I'm like, well, we tried going north and it didn't work out. East, pick a lake, we may consider it for next year.
Sure.
And that's the case now. And we have fished smaller bodies of water. I mean, we regularly hit up Lake the Ozarks, Palm de Terre, Table Rock, Bull Shoal, Stockton Lake, other lakes that have had BFLs and Bassmaster Elite tournaments on. 2016, we went to a little lake called Bushwhacker. It's a conservation area about an hour north, I believe, of Joplin.
Okay.
That was fun. It's shallow, weedy, woody lake. I think I caught 30 fish on a swim jig before 10 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
I had a blast at that little lake, but our numbers have grown, and we'd really crowd that lake real quick now.
Oh, I bet.
I think we had 20 or so at that tournament. And so in 2015, we kicked the series off and starts. I wouldn't say started small. I mean, we came out of the gate with Bass Pro Shops as a title sponsor, and I mean, we were getting prizes and whatnot, kayaks, GoPros, backpacks, camp chairs, all kinds of stuff to give away, and on top of other lure sponsors and like Yak Gear, Yak Attack, and then the kayak shop. I mean, whatever was in the kayak shop, they would put it towards the tournaments.
That's cool.
So yeah, my kayak fishing carried on into almost full blown tournament fishing, and I had fished the first 3 Moyak seasons out of an Emotion Stealth 11, which I don't know if Jay got to see it at the national championship. That was the last tournament I fished out of it before going to the Feel Free Lure 13.5 full time. I played around with an 11.5 in 2016 without a rudder. It was okay. Stability, I love that stability of those boats, but that 11.5 for whatever reason doesn't track as well when you stop paddling.
Yeah.
A rudder kit is almost a must on that one.
Yeah, you used to have that boat, Jay, right?
Yeah, I had a lure 11.5.
Yeah.
And I think the rudder was like the best thing I ever bought for it.
Sure.
I mean, it doesn't track well. I mean, I found that rudder was real handy too, like in wind, because that boat gets taken so quickly, especially with that wheel in the back. It's so easy to get spun around from the currents and the wind. You know.
And I fished a river tournament with a buddy who had an 11.5 with a rudder this last summer, and I mean there was a 100-yard stretch where he stood and flipped the bank, and if that kayak started nosing towards the bank, he would just tap that tow control, get that rudder facing, and pull that nose away from the bank. And then if he got a little too far, he'd tap the opposite side. And I mean, he didn't touch the paddle for like 150 yards.
Nice.
And just stood and just hitting those tow controls on that rudder. So that kind of made me a little jealous not having a rudder set up on that 13.5 yet.
Huh. Interesting.
I run that 13.5. Got a Lowrance Hook 2 7 triple shot with
Nice.
custom mag loaded on it now. A dual. It's similar to the Bernie's River Stick, a little junction box with the 8-inch rod through it and a little paracord for retracting and deploy. You can almost call it a little manual micro power pole.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
dual poles on the back. And then now for the 19 season, I'm going to run either a 56 quart or a 68 quart Plano tote for my tackle storage.
I got one of those storage bins, or I got two of them actually, just for, transporting my stuff. But I saw your setup and I was like, man, I need to figure out if that'll fit in the back of my Bonafide. But yeah,
that picture was taken on a boat ramp, so that's why, and the camera was a little crooked. That's why there's a little angle to that. But
so
I can.
What are you going to put in the front to counterbalance it? I mean, because the kayak's going to be like this, right?
Actually, no, it still sits this level, even with 14. I think it's 14 of the 37 series boxes, and then the front 10 inches. That's kind of my junk drawer. It's my soft plastics and whatever little extra stuff I carry with me. I kind of blocked that off in the 68 quart tote just for that. I do need to figure out a little pole or something to keep the lid up. I've got a tether to keep it from flopping all the way over, but I need to put a spring, one of the lock springs or something in there to keep it up. Otherwise, I flip the lid up, put my head up under it, go about my fiddling with the tackle. But other than that, it worked out great. I got 3 rod holders on each side, on top of the 2 already flush mounts. So I could carry quite a few poles with me.
I like it.
I don't like to retie either.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been contemplating that, adding another 3 rod tubes to my black pack. That would be 9.
Just do it.
But I'm like, I don't know. It might be too much.
Sit down, Papa.
It's never too many. You can never. I mean, where are you going to put the ultralight? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Where are you going to put the MAPS box?
Yeah, exactly.
Here, we'll segue into this. What's an ultralight? So one reason for a couple of the extra rod holders is the swim bait stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in any of the swim bait groups, you'll see guys ask about rods. They see a weight rating on a rod. It'll say 1 to 6 ounces, and they think they can throw that 1 to 6 ounces on that one rod. How many different rods are there for techniques with lure weights under an ounce?
Too many.
Yeah, way too many.
Yeah.
So now they think one rod's gonna cover 5 ounce weight range.
Yeah.
Now I have a TFO Magnum heavy swim bait rod that's in that weight range, but it's got a happy median in the kind of 3 to 4.5 ounce range. 6 is kind of overloading it. I've thrown stuff that's an ounce comfortably. It's got a pretty parabolic bend, but what I'm getting at is I've broken down my swim bait setups where I've got a 3/4 to 3 ounce, the 1 to 6, a 2 to 8, and then an 8 to 14 ounce rated rods. So I've got.
Is the 8 to 14 like a telephone pole or something?
Yeah.
It's pretty stiff. It's actually the same blank as the 2 to 8, but it's double wrapped.
Oh, Jesus, dude.
And so you kind of lose the parabolic of the 2 to 8, and it's about half the bend in the tip. And Kevin of KGB Swim Baits, who spec'd out the 2 to 8 and the 8 to 14, he has a 16-inch Savage Gear line through trout. It weighs 24 ounces, and he's hooked it with that rod.
It's like throwing a statue.
Yeah.
Jesus. It's like, here, I whittled this out of wood. It's like, what is this? Is there stone in here?
That's crazy, dude.
Dude, your shoulders gotta burn so bad from slinging stuff that heavy.
Oh.
Nope. Actually, no.
Oh, no. He's like, dude, now you see these guns?
With the
Yeah.
with the proper casting technique and the right equipment, it don't hurt at the end of the day at all. So I'll say this: the one time I did get my wrist in a bind was after 14 and a half hours in one day of casting a specially modified Chad. It had a big old diving lip on it. It's a 7-inch gizzard Chad. Cranking that sucker in heavy current for probably 8 hours in the afternoon. It got to a point my wrist, I made a cast, went to cranking, and my the hand I hold the rod with just locked up.
Jeez.
I mean, I had to tuck the rod in my armpit, wind it up, and then I just hung the lure and sat it on the deck. I was like, done.
Done.
I've been fishing since 6:30 this morning. It's almost 9 o'clock now. I'm done.
Jesus. Man.
But so yeah, I've got four. There's almost 3 levels. I'm sorry, 5 levels of swim bait rods, because I've got a smaller. It's kind of it's like a 3/8 to 1 ounce, and that's more my chatterbait, kind of spinner bait, larger square bill rod, but I'll throw 4 smaller profiled 5-inch baits on it.
Right on.
There's 5. I got 5 levels of swim bait going on.
Dude, I'm just starting to get into the big swim baits, and it's just like some of those, men are just monstrous. I mean, like Jay said, that thing will rock your arm after a day of throwing those things, man.
Yeah. And I mean, I was throwing a Depths 250, which is a 10-inch 6-ounce bait, and then the KGB King Glide, which with the bristle tail, it's 11 inches, and what was that sucker? I think it's 9 ounces. But I mean, on the 8 to 14 ounce rod, it's nothing. I mean, I finally got that rod cut down.
Oh man,
where I'm comfortable. The rod handle from the thumb spike to the butt into the butt started out at 29 inches long. I think I've taken a clean 10 inches off of it now.
So
I hold my arm out and it clears my chest.
Oh Jesus, dude. So how long, I mean, I'm not familiar with the bigger, heavier swim bait rods. Like, how long are those things? Are they like 7'6", 8 foot?
I've got my smallest is a 7'3". My 3/4 to 3 is a 7'8".
Okay.
The 1 to 6 and the 2 to 8 are both 7'11s. And then the biggest one, I'll have to remeasure it now after I cut it down, but the tip folded over in an 8-foot ceiling. So, I mean, it probably started out near 9 feet, but it's probably closer to 8'4" now.
Oh, wow. Dude, that's a long stick. Not going to lie.
It's all about that leverage.
I bet.
Because I mean, one, not only do you have to have power to cast the heavy bait, but when that fish hits that,
You got to have
you have
some backbone,
to
right?
set that hook, actually move that bait. That's what some guys don't realize. I mean, sure, there's a video on YouTube of a guy hooking a full milk jug of water with a medium action ugly stick, but I bet you he can't reel that sucker in.
Right. Yeah.
The full sweep of a hook set.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. He's probably missing hook sets because he's got no stiff backbone behind it, right? I mean, I know Scott, our former co-host, he had some issues. Last season he was throwing some ugly sticks and he was missing hook sets because there was just too much give in that rod, and he was just missing fish left and right. And then he switched rods, and it was like he was hammering fish. So.
Yeah. And I used to be. I mean, gosh, 8-9 years ago, I used to be like that too. I'm like, why the hell do I want to spend 150, 350 bucks on a rod? When my ugly sticks GX2s serve me just as good. And my first better quality rod was a Lew's American Hero spinning, and it was a 6.6 medium spinning rod, and I took it out trout fishing. And I mean, the first hit I got, it felt like an electrical jolt to my forearm. I mean, the sensitivity was night and day.
Sure.
And I was like, okay, there might be something to this.
Yeah, it's funny. I was up at the Madison Fishing Show this past weekend, and I had some of my Elysian series rods, and that was the big thing is what's the difference between this and a normal rod? And I said, well, number one, the sensitivity. There's a few more eye guides in there, stuff like that. The rod blank itself, you're going to feel that bite a lot sooner, and you're not going to be missing fish.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was one of the big things. That I always tell people, like a custom built rod is just going to perform way better than something you get off the shelf at Cabela's. Most of the time. I mean, obviously they got some higher end St. Croix and things like that, but
yeah, the TFO Magnum Heavy Swim Bait rod, it retails at $190, and I mean, I've probably caught, I don't know, upwards over 500 fish on it over the last 4 years. I've owned it,
sure.
And I mean, I caught an 8-pound, 10-ounce largemouth out of Table Rock on a S-Waver 200, which is an 8-inch glide bait. And I mean, that fish, when it hit, it just felt like just if you took your fingertip and just tapped your elbow, I mean, just so light. But I could feel the difference in it because, I mean, okay, there's trees, standing timber, and there's hard rock bottom. I'm like, that wasn't either. And I swung on it, the rod loaded up, and there was an almost 9-pound fish on the other end.
Nice.
And what it had done, it come up behind that bait and sucked the tail in. It had the rear treble up and through its bottom jaw.
Oh wow!
So it was gonna be hard pressed to get it to throw that lure.
Oh man. So when you're not throwing swim baits, what's some of the other techniques you like tossing?
I like a little bit of everything. I mean, I've been lure fishing since, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years old. So I mean, at least an easy nearly 25 years. I've caught them throwing anything and everything, but as of late, especially in the last couple of years, chatterbait.
Yeah.
Chatterbait, swim jig, and then just the good old, like the Arky jig with a craw trailer.
Yeah.
A beaver in the cold water, and then something flappy when it warms up, whether it be a double tail grub or a pocket craw, or even Z-Man turbo craw.
Yeah, it's one of my
I've used them.
faves, man.
And those, I mean, you get into some smallmouth and table rock, their tooth patches are pretty aggressive. I mean, it looks like if you've caught enough of them, it looks like you ran your thumb over some 80 grit sandpaper all day.
Yeah, I bet.
D-Man stuff comes really handy.
Oh yeah,
because they contain a lot of plastic.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the one thing I love about Z-Man, obviously I change it up once in a while, but Z-Man, man, they'll take a beating, man, and keep on going, keep on giving back. So I love it, man. But yeah, I'm
a little bit of top water, but like I said, most of the time especially in the tournament stuff, I'm throwing a moving bait, whether it be a chatterbait, a swim jig, an underspin with a paddle tail on it.
nice.
That's what I almost won Bull Shoals with last year, was a 5/8 ounce no name underspin, and it had a 4-inch easy gambler
Okay.
swim bait back of it. And I mean, where I was casting it, there was a big ledge that these smallmouth were sitting on, and I mean, I'd bomb a cast to it, and that I would let it sink to the bottom and then pick up the retrieve, and I would let it tick the bottom. And I mean, there was several casts I made. Those fish would eat that before it hit the bottom on the end of the cast.
Yeah.
And so that's where braid to leader comes in.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That was cool. No, I may have missed those fish.
Interesting.
Being able to reel that down real quick and then use the whole, I think that rod's a 7.3.
Okay.
The whole 10, 12 foot of sweep to try to set that hook 50, 60 yards away.
Oh man. That's crazy. I love it.
Yeah, so chatterbait, swim jig, underspins, jig and crawl. And I have employed the bigger swim baits in the tournaments. Last Stockton tournament, 2017, I was throwing a Livingston, the 6-inch B Viper, which is the taller profile shad bait.
Okay.
No weight in it, was waking it on the surface, and I mean, they were smashing it against the bluff bank, and I'd hook a fish, lose it about halfway back. I mean, I had a horrible day of throwing fish in that tournament, but
Yeah.
I mean, they were hitting it like crazy.
That's awesome.
And then Stockton again last year, my biggest fish was on that S-Waver 200. It was almost 18-inch smallmouth, I think, on a not wind blown point, because I think we had 15-mile-an-hour sustained winds that day with up to 25-mile-an-hour gusts.
Okay.
And I was on the wind blown side of this big cove to start out with, and I cut back across it, and this one point was just almost slick calm across the top of it. That's where I ended up catching that fish. But what else? That's kind of my go-to stuff. I mean, unless I find a concentration of fish, I'm moving, drifting, trying to cover water.
Right on. That's cool, man.
And then rigging always depends on the kind of cover. Because, I mean, when I say underspins, it might be a jig head, or it might be like the owner flashy swimmer for a week application. Lake Taneycomo, it's got coontail in it.
Okay.
And it grows thick in the summer. I mean, it will mat up. You can throw frogs. I got second place at that tournament, 2017. I was actually, it was almost like throwing a buzz bait. I had a 4.8 Kayatek on a 5/0 flashy swimmer, and the mats weren't quite set up, so there was a lot of open pockets where the mats would be. And so, I mean, I would cast all the way across the mat and buzzed that through the open holes. And I mean, the fish were blowing up through them holes eating swim bait. So yeah, rigging always kind of depends on what kind of cover. I mean, I was throwing that on 50-pound straight braid.
Oh wow!
In case, because I caught 3 over 18 inches during that tournament, and I would swing up on them, and then ski them across that mat.
Sure.
So they wouldn't get their heads down.
Yeah.
I think I lost one small fish. It hit that bait. It was like, I don't know, 13, 14 incher. It jumped and then dove in that mat and it pulled off.
Right
but
on.
It wasn't going to help me anyway.
So what's your biggest bass on one of those big swim baits?
Biggest largemouth is the 8-pound 10-ouncer. 5 1/4 pound smallmouth. I'm really hard pressed so far to break the 4-pound barrier with a spotted bass. Okay. I've seen bigger ones blow over my big top waters and stuff, completely miss them.
Sure.
Striped bass from the bank. My biggest one is 50 pounds, 4 ounces. Biggest kayak striper so far is a 36 even.
That's crazy. Yeah, I forgot you guys got the big stripers down there, man. That's on the bucket list for me.
Oh yeah. You might get lucky if you come out here for that championship.
Nice.
If they run late. We've had them run into September before.
Nice.
It's a summertime bite. But yeah, both those bigger striper, that was on the 8-inch Spro BBZ. Looks like a rainbow trout. And then 10-pound, 12-ounce walleye.
Nice. That's what I'm talking about.
That was on a 3/4 ounce underspin with a 5/8 Kitech.
Nice.
And I was gonna let it go. I mean, I didn't have it out of the water. I clipped the stringer in it, went to the bank, got measurements and stuff. A guy on a boat weighed it for me, and I brought it back down to the water and sat there pushing it back and forth, and it just never, I mean, for like 30 seconds, a minute, and it just never kicked.
Huh.
And then I was like, you're too good eating. You're going home with me. Get you a chance. And so I cleaned that fish, and it had 2, not 1, but 2 rainbow trout in its gut, and they were both about 10 inches long apiece.
Oh, wow. That's killer. That's nice.
That was a 29.5-inch fish.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's always interesting cutting a fish open, you know, and checking its gut to see what it's been eating. I know me and Jay were out ice fishing a couple weeks ago, and
you filleted that pike and it had a hot dog in its gut.
Yeah, well, no, the hot dog wasn't in its gut, but Jay caught it on a hot dog. But in its gut was a couple of like 4-inch perch, and then there was a small largemouth bass in its belly as well. So
that doesn't prove anything.
No. I was happy to see it was eating more perch than it was bass, but you know, it was different.
If the little bass was hanging out with the perch, it was his own fault.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, he was maybe 2 inches, 2.5, small little bass, but yeah, it was what it was. But yeah, so let's talk Moyak, man. So what kind of dates you guys got? Where are you guys going? What's the sponsors and all that good stuff? Let's hear about it.
Oh, 2009 Moyak Fishing Series. Oh, I'm sorry, 2019.
I was going to say, you got a time machine?
2019 Moyak Fishing Schedule. We are starting on April 6th at Lake of the Ozarks.
Nice.
April 20th is Pomme de Terre. May 11th Table Rock. We do a Memorial Day online challenge. I think we're going to do 4 days, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Okay.
Memorial Day for that. My birthday, well, not exactly on my birthday, but June 15th. Birthday's June 11th.
Nice.
Tournament, Lake Taneycomo. July 20th on Stockton. August 17th. We're teaming up with the Ozark River Anglers Tournament Trail, or
Okay.
ORAC. We're going to do a 2-day tournament, 1 day on a river and 1 day on a lake.
That's cool. That's cool.
Because I mean, we got, there's that river club, and them guys. I mean, we've got plenty of floatable waters, and but that not all of them come over and fish moyak on lakes.
Yeah.
And so, and some of my lake guys, they don't fish rivers a lot. So
Sure.
it's either way, it's going to take someone out of their element, and they're still going to have to go and catch fish. So we're still ironing out official details for that tournament. August 31st will be Bull Shoals Lake, and then we get about almost a month break, and September 21st and 22nd will be the Missouri State Championship.
Oh, nice.
Alongside the KBF Central Division Trail Championship.
Series. Yep.
And that will be hosted out of Indian Point Marina near Branson.
Okay. Very cool.
Literally down the street of Silver Dollar City, if you've ever heard of that.
Yep. Right on. Super sweet. So for Moyak, is it like a membership thing, or they're all open tournaments?
No, we kind of like to keep the money amongst the members. So you do have to be a member.
Okay.
To be a competitor.
Okay. How much is the membership?
It is $25.
Oh, that ain't nothing.
Nope, it's not too bad. So I mean, and you fish for the state championship. You don't have to be a MOYAC member, but you do have to fish any 3 live events in the state of Missouri. So I mean, you can fish the ORAT River Trail, you can fish MOYAC, the Camo Series, the KBF Trail on, I think it's Mark Twain.
Yep.
And then the Zingo. There's the one on Mazingo too. So that's a couple of live tournament stuff that I can think of off the top of my head. And I think there might be there's a charity tournament in April, the week after the Pomme de Terre tournament. It's called Arc of the Ozarks. I'm thinking we'll count that one too.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, it's technically a kind of tournament in Missouri, so we'll count that one too. So tournaments are going to be $40 a pop. We got Geico, a local office, Geico office, signed on as a title sponsor this year.
Oh, very cool.
They will be helping us guarantee $1,000 for first place payout. 30 plus anglers at the tournament. That excludes the Memorial Day challenge and the River Lake challenge.
I might have to come down for that first one in April, man. It's like,
and then it'll be 1,000 by itself. That's going to be contributed to the first place payout for the Missouri State Championship, on top of the
entry fees or whatever,
and anything else.
That's cool. That's cool, man. I love it. What do you guys get like per average? Like last year, what was like your average turnout per tournament?
We had a little lull last year. with the creation of the other series, that's a complicated situation we don't have time for.
Yeah. No worries.
So, 2015, we'll just start there. 2015, we averaged 15 to 20.
Okay.
2016, bumped it a little bit from like 20 to 30. 2017, we saw anywhere from 25 at like some of the real tough, crappy weather tournaments to I think we had 54 at the classic at the end of the year classic tournament.
Okay.
And then so I mean we've had up nearly 60 competitors in a single tournament.
Okay. Very cool.
And, we're up to I believe we're up to 57 members right now before the tournament. I mean there's typically you'll get several sign up before their first tournament or the first tournament of the year.
Okay. So
we'll hit 70 probably fairly easy.
Sure. Oh yeah. So where do you go if somebody wants to sign up to be a member of MOYAC? Where should they go to check that out?
I mean, we've got the page on Facebook. We've got the group on Facebook. It's an open group. And then we have the website that's got everything on it. And that's MOYAK fishing series. And that'll be all one word, .com.
Okay. Sweet.
So we've got all the sponsors. We've got the logos on the website. You can click on the logos and it will take you to that sponsor's website.
Oh, that's cool. I dig that.
So, I mean, if you click on Geico, it will take you to their website. If you, we got Savior on board.
Oh, nice.
So if you click on Savior Outdoors logo, it'll take you there. Gator Guards, it'll take you to their website. Yak Lights, so on and so forth. And another fun thing about the tournaments that we're doing this year is we got the first man out. What that is Sport World Boats is going to sponsor the last competitor out. It'll be the first guy out of the money, and they will pay their entry fee into their next tournament.
That's sweet. I dig that.
Called the first man out.
I dig that.
So that'll be a little fun addition this year, and then we do like the best darn tackle box where you buy a $5 lure. We all throw it in a box, and everyone who contributed gets a ticket. And at the weigh-in, we draw a ticket, and whoever that is wins everything in the box.
Gotcha. That's sweet, dude.
And then to be environmentally friendly and charitable, we're going to have a bucket for hammered lures, soft plastics.
Yeah, the recycling program.
Yep. We'll have a bucket at the weigh-ins for trash soft plastics from the day of the tournament.
No, that's awesome, man. We definitely appreciate you guys doing that because it's funny, man. Like since we started talking about that and telling people about it, the response has been awesome, and I know you guys were one of the first ones to jump on board and offer that, and I know we got KBL, Great Lakes Kayak Fishing Series. They're doing it. I just talked to the guys at the Wisconsin chapter of Heroes on the Water. They're jumping on board. They're going to be receiving some baits and stuff. I know Eric had just made a first batch run. If you guys haven't seen that, you can check that out on his Instagram page. He's already pumping out baits to get shipped over to the Pennsylvania chapter. So it's cool, man. It's crazy. And if anybody's listening to this podcast and makes some plastic baits, Eric's looking for some help. molding those because, just the response that we've already gotten, he knows he's going to be buried. So he's looking to see if any other lure makers, are out there to give him a hand. So, and if you're watching the YouTube feed, Richy is just flashed all the sponsors for the Moyak series with all the dates. So be sure to check that out. I was just looking at the Facebook page. All the events are right there. So it's cool, man. I might, dude, I'm so tempted to come down for that first one in April. Like I'm jonesing, man, because I think our first KBL tournament's like that weekend after. And then the weekend after that is Big Hill, Kansas. But I'm still up in the air if I'm going to go out there. So
Big Hill is fun.
Yeah.
Have you been there before?
I've never fished Kansas. Never fished Kansas.
Weedy, got standing timber, and there is some bald gravel points.
Sure.
And a little bit of bluff on the lower end. Yeah. But there's, lots of standing timber.
Yeah. No.
And added weeds up towards the north end.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed when I was scoping it out, doing some homework, is all the timber that's just sticking up out of the water. So that's
I had real good. I had a decent tournament there the first year I went. It would have been better if I landed fish, bluegill colored swim jig, bluegill squarebill, and then I switched areas and it was a little dirtier, and I went to a black and blue jig and a craw.
Sure.
And I actually lost about a 20-inch fish. Another guy was right there watching the whole thing. That fish dragged me between 2 or 3 trees, and I was struggling with that flipping stick, weaving in and out of the trees, trying to stick that rod in the water to keep that fish from jumping, and it finally got its head up out of the water and just threw that jig about 8 feet to the left.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, there's some good fish in there. You just gotta find them.
Yeah. It seems like a super interesting lake, that's for sure. It's definitely got me intrigued. So.
We put their bones off there last year. Oh my gosh. I think it was 18 degrees when we started out last year.
Oh man.
I had 14 hot hand packets on my body.
Yeah. I went out once in January this year, and it was 20 degrees out, and that was probably the dumbest thing I've ever done. So, gotta love it.
And the last year during that event was a Midwest Kayak Fishing Series event. The KBF trail on Gull Shoals was the same day, and those guys got snowed on.
Oh man!
If you go and look at Brian's photos from that event, he won big bass. He's one of my Moyak guys. He got big bass at that tournament, and you can just see snow all over the deck of his FS 12AT.
Yeah, well, it's like the Hobie guys just had that Chickamauga open, and man, the waters were raging down there. 7 foot it rose or something, and overnight, and between day 1 and day 2. I mean, that's just nuts, man. But yeah, what are you gonna do?
Fish it.
Yeah.
Fish the condition.
Yeah, buddy. Right on. All right, man. So, we're pretty much winding down here. So why don't you send a shout-out to your sponsors, where people can find you, the Moyak series once again, and that way everybody knows where to come find out about big swim baits.
I'll start at the top. Waco Springfield, Gator Guard, Sport World Boats, Yak Lights, Yak Attack, E-Factor, Savior Outdoors, KGB Swim Baits, Robo Hawk Leashes, Hermishan Custom Lures, Bass Mogul, Table Rock Chamber of Commerce, Squitcher Hydration, Extreme Sports and Scuba, Ozark Mountain Trading Company, Calhoun Print, and Crocagator, and Psycho Baits.
Nice.
And I ran into Mr. Eric Jackson a couple weeks ago, and he's gonna throw us an Orion cooler.
Nice.
And we'll raffle it off amongst the members, I believe.
Right on.
We haven't quite decided what we'll do with it yet.
Cool. No, that'll be slick, man. Those Orion coolers are the bee's knees.
Yep. Just ask Jay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Jay dropped off on the call. His connection is poor. I tried adding him back in, so that's why Jay's been a little non-existent in this podcast. But he said just go on and carry on without him. But he's been struggling with some internet issues. But, yeah, no, man.
Yeah. Facebook. I've got a Moswimb8slinger fan page. I try to put my own stuff and share others. Swim bait articles on there, fishing stories. I do have a YouTube channel. I need to contribute it a little more, but the catch of the 36-pound striper from the kayak is on there.
Nice.
And some other smaller stripers, and then night fishing trips, and Savior rods retrieval device, the retrofit.
Nice.
I have an install video there, and then I have an Instagram, and it's Moswimb8slinger, so bait slinger.
Nice.
And then, yeah, Mo Yak Fishing Series. It's Mo hyphen Yak Fishing Series on the page and the group on Facebook. And then the website's all one word, no hyphen, no caps, moyakfishingseries.com.
Nice. Check it out, guys.
All tournaments will be held on Tourney X.
Nice.
And all tournaments are up on there already.
Nice. And are your tournaments on Saturdays or Sundays?
We are on Saturdays.
Okay, cool.
I had fished with the Branson Bass Club in 2014, and they held Sunday tournaments. Well, being the buckle of the Bible Belt, a lot of guys find it really hard to skip church on Sunday to fish a bass tournament. So we decided to hold them. They were better held on Saturdays.
Cool. Yeah, no, I dig it, man.
We get a little gripe from guys that have weekend shifts, but I mean, we have enough tournaments. We dropped the worst two.
Sure.
For Angler of the Year points. So you can afford. I've done it for the last 2 years. We had originally held Pomme de Terre in July, and I mean, scorcher.
Yeah.
95 plus degree water temp, 95 plus degree air temp, and it was always a dink fest. And so we've swapped that with Pomme de Terre, Stockton.
Okay.
So we'll have Stockton in the summer and Palmy in the spring. So hopefully we'll get a little better fish results there. But I've chosen purposely to skip that tournament and take a zero,
Sure.
without it hurting me at the end. I didn't have a rough year, but I didn't have the greatest year. I had the one second place finish last year, and with a couple of other top 15s. I think the end of the year tournament was my worst one, actually.
Okay.
But I ended up 8th in points.
Nice.
Out of 58 anglers. So
okay.
I've been as 4th in 2016.
Are you guys a KBF partner then?
Yep.
So you guys are sending some guys to the national championship and all that stuff.
Yep.
At the end of the season.
This year, I qualified for it. I passed it up so that we could, me and the other 2 guys, Joshua Booth and Jeff Mellencamp, that really is the core crew of Moyak now. I can't remember if Josh. I'm not sure if Josh is going. I think Jeff might try to go to the national championship, but I purposely gave up my spot to help focus on Moyak, make it as great as we can.
Sure.
And knock a lot of stuff. I mean, there's quite a few bits and pieces to take care of.
Oh yeah.
Doing a tournament. I mean, I kind of, other than having sponsor merchandise in hand right now, I feel we've got like 80% of our work done for the year.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That way you can just focus on fishing. That's always nice. Yep. That's sweet.
And I'll save this for later. But we'll have a secret but yet trustworthy tournament director from outside the series. We'll reveal that on the Facebook group.
Okay, right on.
But you'll probably know who it is.
Okay.
Or at least heard of him.
Okay.
He's had my back on social media for years, so.
Right on.
Sweet. So that lets us fish the tournament and not have to judge them at the same time, and then there'd be that little ridicule of favoritism or whatnot. So
nice.
It kind of eliminates that.
Very sweet, man. Very sweet. I dig it. All right, man. Well, Richie, thanks again for sitting down and chatting. We much appreciate it. And for you guys out there, show notes will be the address to send the used plastics out to get melted down and remade into baits. And check out our website, paddle, the letter N in fin.com. Or if you have a question, comment, topic idea, feel free to reach out at paddle, the letter N in fin @gmail.com. You can follow all our social and all that good stuff. It's just paddle and fin. So until next time, guys, tight lines and smooth paddling. Boom.